You guys know that SpongeBob scene where the fish is like, "How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?"
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
Well, that's probably how the entire internet feels at the moment following Dr. Disrespect's recent behavior. Let's rewind a bit. Towards the end of June, Dr. Disrespect was facing a lot of backlash for messaging a minor. Let's remember that. He admitted it, and he posted it. Of course, he edited the word minor out and put it back in during that confession, but whatever. Luckily, everybody has screenshots. These screenshots are permanently embedded on the internet as well as many videos, but in case anybody doesn't know or doesn't remember or wants to be thoroughly reminded, then let's start here. This is an excerpt from Dr. Disrespect's now deleted tweet, by the way, which we'll get into in a little bit. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened, no pictures were shared, no crimes were committed. I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. So, there's a couple of things that really need to be touched on when it comes to situations like these. Even though Dr. Disrespect said that there was nothing bad that happened, and while we could believe that at face value, he still did admit to messaging a minor. How that minor was, we really don't know. Nobody really has accurate information on that. People are just guessing. Some people are believing this fake email that was floating around. None of that is true. We don't know how the minor was. But what still remains constant is the fact that when you talk to a minor in a position of power, quote unquote, as people like to say, when you're an influencer and you're talking to a minor, inappropriately, keep in mind, if you're doing that, all trust immediately goes out the window, especially in his position where he was messaging this individual through Twitch. He admits to it himself. But despite that fact, people have still been running defense for Dr. Disrespect. People have still been trying to give him leeway. Some more disgusting people are even saying, well, if she was 17, it really isn't that bad. Look, I don't care. It's still bad. Some people will disagree, and those who disagree are probably very uneducated individuals or more old traditional morons like the quartering. But because of this leeway, Dr. Disrespect has made himself feel a little more comfortable into the idea of coming back to streaming, back to the internet, which he said he would be taking an indefinite vacation from. So just a couple of weeks ago on July 31st, Dr. Disrespect posted this image with him playing chess while somebody else is playing checkers. Who that person could be, who knows? Probably a child because, only children play checkers. But that's besides the point. And people have absolutely been roasting him because of this. I'm not going to really get into too many of those tweets because it's sort of irrelevant. But based on some of these replies, Dr. Disrespect has been getting a little bit bold. He also changed his Twitter banner to this, I want to say, bait type of image where, as you can see, we have the little bob and then the tweet, the apology that he made used as bait. Not sure what that's supposed to signify, but if it's supposed to insinuate the fact that this wasn't real in the first place, and good luck getting away from that because nobody's gonna buy that shit ever. And now, more recently, 18 hours ago, Dr. Disrespect posted this. Vacation is just too good right now. We'll be back soon though, champs. We have lots to talk about. Yeah. I don't really care. Okay, look. Unless he has a really good excuse or something to clarify all of this information that we already know and the stuff that he's admitted to, then he really shouldn't deserve the privilege to come back at all. Unless he's bringing a lot of proof, unless he's bringing a lot of receipts, unless we can see those messages, unless we can tell what exactly happened and what went on, there's just no way that anybody should even consider the idea of bringing him back on. Now, let's get to his admission of guilt where he tells everyone that he was in fact banned from Twitch for being in contact with a minor individual. Yeah, well, that's deleted. He's absolutely sweeping, trying to move on like nothing happened, but unfortunately that's just not going to be the case because the internet does not forget. And unfortunately there's going to be dumbasses out here like the quartering saying firm handshakes and slobbering at the idea of a grand return. Let me get into something real quick. As it stands right now, without evidence, without clarity, someone like Dr. Disrespect doesn't really deserve the opportunity to come back without making a good case for himself. While there is always a chance that the situation at hand is not as bad as it sounds like, there's really not a lot to support that idea based on Dr. Disrespect's track record of cheating on his wife, sexting trans cam models, and even messaging a minor inappropriately. This all happened in the same year, by the way. Based on this behavior, it's just a bit unreasonable to draw the conclusion that anything in those Twitch whispers is forgivable. But again, we would need all the clarity in the world to determine that as an absolute, but unfortunately that's probably not going to be the case anytime soon, or possibly anytime ever. So if he is planning a return soon, it better be with tons of new information for people to do their due diligence with. The way I see it, I don't think he deserves to be given a slap on the wrist and just be allowed to come back as if nothing happened, but unfortunately there are a lot of individuals that are actually more than willing to allow Dr. Disrespect to come back, which is kind of absurd when you compare it to recent situations that have been going on. But despite what he deserves or what he doesn't deserve, I don't think it is unrealistic to believe that he will just be able to resume his position streaming as if nothing ever happened. I mean, let's be extremely realistic here. There hasn't been a lot of details released behind Dr. Disrespect's whole situation besides what he said himself. So if you take into account how his biased fans may perceive it, they may not even see an actual issue because of how delusional these individuals actually are. There are still people adamantly claiming that nothing that bad happened because the minor maybe wasn't that young, or because there maybe wasn't anything that wrong that happened in the DMs. Let me reiterate, there are still fans of Dr. Disrespect that believe that. So it's actually entirely possible that he could just hop back into the streaming gig again as if nothing ever happened. Now, for those of you who still are Dr. Disrespect supporters who think he's redeemable, let me put something into perspective. He was banned from Twitch for messaging a minor, which only leads us to assume that there may have been something potentially damning in the background that we just don't know about. Sure, Dr. Disrespect may not have been charged for a crime, and that could be for a variety of reasons. Not everyone presses charges, and not all states press charges either. Or he just straight up didn't commit a crime. Let's be clear here for the sake of nuance and not insinuate anything worse. What we do know, as an absolute, is that he did message a minor inappropriately. Now, let's look at that from the angle of being an older sibling or father. Would you like it if a man your age, or even double your age, assuming you're in your early 20s, I know I am, were to message your 17-year-old sister or daughter? 17 just being an arbitrary number, by the way, because we don't know if this person was actually 17. Would you not feel perturbed that someone double your age, who is very well known and has a ton of money, could easily sweep that person out from under you? Horrible choice of words, horrible perspective to take. I know this is a very touchy thing to discuss, but obviously not many of us would feel comfortable with something like that. But it's to put into perspective the hesitancy most would have for something like that. There's a level of trust with creators that a lot of viewers or supporters typically don't think about until it's stressed and scrutinized. So look at it that way and really consider, would you really trust something like that after that trust has been tested? The answer logically would be probably not. That being said, unless Dr. Disrespect has some extremely good evidence, he should just pack it up, although the fact that he's been sweeping evidence and trying to pretend like nothing happened is very concerning. Transparency is a huge thing when it comes to people like Dr. Disrespect, especially those who are fighting allegations like these. But evidently, that's something Disrespect cares very little about. So we should hold him to a very, very extreme standard, unless there is something that he can show us that can prove otherwise. But that's just extremely unlikely in my opinion. I think his reputation is over. I don't think he should be given a shot to easily come back. I don't think he's particularly trustworthy based on everything that's transpired. And with that being said, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.